Hello, hello.
Yo,
Hi. Uh,
strong
we have a
start. Strong start.
we have a Keep special going, guest keep today. going.
Yeah,
Um, uh,
we have a
our
guest in
dad
studio.
is back on the pod. Um, When was the last time you
He it was we did some sort of battle, you and I.
a game? That was the psych game.
Psych.
I remember this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay,
Which
continue.
is and it was so memorable that only moments earlier, just now, I was like, wow, this is great. It's like my first time on the pod. And then I'm like, wait a minute, we have done this
We have
before.
done this before, and everybody remembered it. Every person.
Yeah. I've been getting fan mail every day.
Yeah. Have
Uh,
you watched? Our one listener in Russia sends dad fan mail every day. Have you watched any Psych since then?
no.
I have
Okay.
watched
So
one episode
I
since
would
then.
probably do worse on the if we did this.
The bank episode because we were cleaning. We put on full
Oh,
psych.
I'd watch that. That's like one of the last ones I watched too. Is it because did you watch that one because I did?
No, we I went random number, ba-ding, season four,
You mean the
or
holdup
season
at the
three,
bank
random ba-ding, season episode 11, I think it
with
was.
Cameron from
Yeah, Gus walks into a bank is the name
yeah.
of the episode.
Oh, well, there you go.
That's a good one. You know what? But I think I either looked this up today or yesterday. I already forgot. You know how we were talking about last night, Gus, and you were like, "No, it's in season four because I've seen it. It's in season six, like I
Absolutely not.
thought."
It is in season four.
Look
I
it
can
up right
I
now.
can solve this
It's in
problem right
season
now.
four.
I
Season
can
six, episode two is what Google
I
said.
can settle this.
I'm so sure it's in season four. Did
Season
you?
6, episode 2.
There's no way. There's no way. What else is in season six?
There it is.
I don't understand. So much. I
Wait,
think you've just
pull
seen
up the
it.
other episodes in season 6.
Well, you haven't gotten there, so. Well, I seen them. I ain't seen them all. It's not like I never seen season six. It's I never seen it all the way through. And when I do my all the way through watch throughs, I start from the beginning and never make it past season four.
That's what
Like,
I'm saying. It won't matter if we pull up season
oh,
6 because you haven't seen anything in it.
yeah, see, look, episode right after, right before, go down a little bit. Is
There's,
and
oh
you
no,
can
look,
oh
that's it.
top
16. Here we go, 8 seasons.
nominated for one Primetime Emmy, 5 wins, and 32 nominations total. Psych.
Okay, here we go. Sean rescues Darth Vader.
Oh yeah.
Last Night Gus. This episode sucks. The Amazing Psych Man and Tap Man.
Okay, maybe I think season six is season four because
Because you've seen all these.
this is all
Dead
I
Man's
think season
Curveball.
four is.
Sean interrupted.
Yeah.
The Tao of Gus. Indiana Shawn and the Temple of Kind of Crappy Rusty Old Dagger. Have you seen these?
Yeah.
All right, hold on.
There are very few episodes I haven't seen.
We're already off topic,
But
but why not click on episode 4 to find out?
Well, see, I thought this was season three.
He dead. High Noonish.
Becca just thinks there's actually just 40 episodes in every season.
Hollywood
Or
Homicide.
yeah, I guess.
Sean takes a shot in the dark.
I like how it tells me which episodes are top rated. I'm doing a rewatch. Click, go right to the banner. That's crazy. Are you on IMDb?
Yeah.
Yep, we're on the Deebs.
Season 4, episode 16. Mr. Yin presents. All right. All right, we solved that mystery.
Now we know. So we needed a little thing. Now we got a little thing. Do you have a little thing?
That wasn't the
I was
thing.
I was gonna ask Dad about Doomsday.
Doomsday.
You heard Have of you not heard anything about Marvel Avengers Doomsday? We sent you at least one
You're talking
meme
about
about it.
the transformation of Iron Man into Doctor Doom.
Well, he will appear as Doctor Doom in that movie.
Yeah.
I think I showed you a picture of all the people
Yeah.
that were announced for that movie, and it
And
has
it's got a lot of
X-Men
them,
in
but not
it.
all of them. Yeah.
Yeah. It's got the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, the
This is what it is. So after their big finale, what was that one called?
Endgame.
Endgame.
Endgame? Endgame Part 7 or whatever.
Hmm.
After that one, they've been counting their money and years have now passed and they're like, wait a minute, we haven't come out with a new Avengers movie to keep this company afloat for years now. We got to do something about that. So they cooked this one up, right? I
They
mean,
go, everybody hates. Are we in stage 4 or 5?
I
stage.
have no idea. I have no
I feel
idea.
like somebody told me we were in stage 5, and I'm like, I think you make that up,
I don't know
but
what
we're
stages mean.
definitely at least stage 4. Nobody
Yeah,
liked
four or
it.
five for sure.
So everyone's like, we need a new one. But it won't be a new one, it'll be the old one, but it won't be the old
Okay,
one.
but answer me this. I have not
Thunderbolts?
seen what's the new one called?
Thunderbolts?
Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts. They changed the title, the subtitle, right? It's now
Yes.
the New Avengers.
The new Avengers.
So what's that
Yes.
mean? And how
It's
does that
basically
relate to your Doomsday?
they are all in the announced cast for Doomsday.
Okay.
Um, but they're called the New Avengers because at the end of Thunderbolts,
They're like,
you know,
guys, I think we're the new Avengers. And then it ends, roll credits.
it's basically
You
like
haven't seen this though, have you?
That's exactly what
Yes.
happens.
you know who Valentina is?
Uh, is that's not an actress name, right?
No, that's the character. The actress is Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Oh
Dreyfus?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Her character is in Thunderbolts.
Confusing that girl. She pops
Yes.
up in everything, and everyone's like, "What is she doing here?"
Yes, exactly. So in Thunderbolts, she's like the person who's like she's trying to get rid of all of the Thunderbolts because she wants to look good in Congress and it's very political or whatever. So she's like trying to get rid of them. And then at the very end of the movie, they all are like, well, let's just get rid of Valentina because she's trying
All
to
the
get rid of
problem.
us. Yeah. So then at the very end, Valentina like tricks them into like being in this press conference and she's like, everybody, the new Avengers. And so they kind of just fall into that title.
I mean, there were spoilers in this. At least I know you
Spoilers.
were gonna make up stuff. I knew that was gonna happen, but
Yes. 3 episodes.
Hannah's actually seen some of this
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. So
I mean, it was all fake. None of this is in the movie. It's a
that's
dream.
why they announced
Do you
the subtitle New Avengers like after it came out
do
a
you
little bit.
know? Are you up on the comics? Do you know like the? Okay, I'm just what
Now,
is her character in the comics? Is what I'm wondering. I don't
I
know.
don't know. I
Like did
know
they liked her and they like wrote a bit in for her in one movie and then she started jumping into all kinds of movies.
I bet she's in the comics because one of the main characters in Thunderbolts that she kind of creates is I know in the comics. So I don't know. I'm not up to date on the comics,
Okay.
but
If you want the backstory, I'll give it to you. Here it is. Um, Julie Louis Dreyfus, Julia Louis Dreyfus is from Seinfeld. And I'm just wondering at what point she got her nose job because I can't watch her in these new movies. I'm a Seinfeld fan and
that's a show I've never seen all the way through.
Seinfeld,
You don't need to
Yeah.
watch that show all the way through.
they've got some recurring
You can
bits.
go
You
back
just
for a
watch it
bit.
whenever you want.
I have not seen all of Seinfeld. I have seen the very last episode. I was watching it. We were at a condo. I did not know it was the last episode. Have you
Okay,
seen the last
the
episode?
last episode is horrible.
I'm gonna tell you what
It
happens in the last
it hold
episode.
on. It is a great series, but not every season is good. Excuse me, not every season is great. And the way they ended the whole series, disappointing.
I'm gonna tell you how
Oh, nobody
this.
wants to hear it.
No, because I want to
No.
hear Hannah's reaction. Okay, I'm thinking this is a regular episode. I don't know this is the last episode. They're doing regular Seinfeld things.
Are they?
The whole
I'll give you the short version. They tried to like they're like, "Oh, we're ending. This is our last run. So let's just take a bunch of stuff that people might remember the last 7 or 8 years and
It's
like
it's a lot of bits and
rehash.
pieces of an
Yeah,
episode. They
we're gonna
kind of
show
go
some of that so we could all relive
they
it.
go to a lot of places in the episode. They kind of talk to people willy-nilly. Here's how it ends, though. They're just kind of walking around doing nothing. Seinfeld do be doing nothing. Uh,
Yeah, it's a show about nothing.
yeah. But then they like watch a crime get committed. They watch this guy get mugged, and they just watch him. And George is recording it, and then they get taken to court for recording a crime
And not
and not
helping or not
helping
reporting
him.
it.
And then they all go to jail, and that's how the show
Yeah,
ends.
and they're trying to defend themselves, and it's horrible.
I
It's
thought this was a regular episode, and I was like, that's weird. I
it
like
was
cliffhanger. What's the next
it was
episode?
bad.
That's the end of the show.
There are some episodes of Seinfeld that are just brilliant, and that was definitely not one of them. Like, ugh.
It sounds like they wrote it, like they were like, they're going, I feel like they wrote the episode while they were doing it, like an improv
I'm
episode.
sure that's how it happened, where they were like, how do we how do we
No,
re
there was no, how do we do
how do
this?
we
It's like,
relive bits from the past, and we'll bring in the because like that's why they brought in that black attorney guy. He's hilarious. They brought in like they're just trying to get characters and scenes and stuff, and like, ugh. All right, let's move on. That
it
Seinfeld
like pans out, they're in the prison. Most of them are, they're either all in one cell or they're like all of them in one or
and
in a different cell. And
and the
it pans
case
out.
and the case against them
Seinfeld,
is that they're
Seinfeld.
just horrible people
Yeah,
and they're convicted of it, right?
yeah. They're like, it's this new law you never did hear
Funny
of.
thing though, like I watch Seinfeld every now and again, just like right now, just randomly. And like throughout the seasons, they are kind of just horrible people. They just complain
Yeah.
about stuff. And
I could have told you that, and I ain't seen
is
most of
that how
that.
they are, or is that how New Yorkers are?
Both.
Hannah, you've been to New York.
Yeah, but
You
I'm walking here.
you never
so have you.
you didn't engage with the New Yorkers. You just
Yeah, I
go to
was
their
busy.
plays and buy their
Yeah,
pizza and leave. Okay.
I was busy.
Right.
When I went to Rochester, all of the kids were either from Chicago or New York City.
Yeah.
Well, one of Dad's least favorite movie moments. Let's talk about one of Dad's favorite movie moments.
Flip,
We're talking
Movie.
about
flip the script, turn the
What a great
tables.
segue. Let's do that. What is one of my favorite movie moments?
Dad hates, I'm gonna preface this a little bit. Dad hates to pick his favorites. He hates
I was just
hypothetical.
gonna say
Okay,
that. I was gonna
fine.
say the
Okay, fine.
same
You
thing.
go into it. You take it.
He doesn't want to pick favorites for anything, and one of our favorite things is asking him, "Hey, what's your favorite this? What's your favorite
Is it
that?"
because you know I'm not going to answer?
Well, we also just want to know because we ask everyone
Yeah.
that, but also you don't pick yours. So we get a pick, so it's extra fun. We make like brackets.
I've been pretty open about my favorite Star Wars movie.
This
Yeah.
movie was not picked with a bracket, but all of your other favorites, I think, were. And besides, like your favorite song, I think, is yours. But
In the bracket, we determined that his favorite movie is Casino Royale.
I mean, it's up there.
you can't say no because you said you don't have one, and then we picked for you, so you get me mad.
Yeah, well,
Mhm.
brackets
Yeah.
are not a definitive
We
response to
talked
any.
about this. Brackets are not good at anything
Yes.
past one, but they will get one.
I get number one.
Okay.
But yeah,
Assuming they're all like numerical value.
but to give him credit, he has always said Rogue One is his favorite Star Wars movie. But before Rogue One came out, what was your favorite Star Wars movie?
Probably Jedi.
Classic.
That's 6.
Oh, is it? You're right.
Episode 4, 5, 6. That's
New Hope,
Empire Strikes Back.
Return. I always mix up those two titles.
Mm.
Those
Yeah.
last two.
Yeah, and
Rogue One.
a lot of people say Empire Strikes Back because it was impactful and it was groundbreaking and it shocked people when it came out.
I've seen six.
And it was like it was one of the first huge movies where like the bad guys like won. It's the Empire did strike back, right? But like because I grew up with that, that kind of made me sad. I was like, oh,
The bad guys win.
I'm on Luke's team, you know? And like but then in Jedi we like win, you know? We recruit the little Ewok rugrats and
Do they get medals at the end of this one too? Six? Probably
I
not.
think just the first one is medals.
Yeah.
I always, every time I watch that movie and they get medals, I think there's more movie. Like it seems like abrupt, like we're done. Ah, they could end it there. No, we're gonna give you medals. 2 seconds, medal, medal. Movie ends like I thought there was a little bit more, but
Well,
It's the
boom,
close to black.
medals at the end.
yeah.
It goes to the credits. Um, Dad's favorite Star Wars movie. Becca just watched this for the first time.
I had
We
seen
watched it together.
I
Oh,
had seen the last half hour at the gym once, and I thought it was the full half hour. It was actually like
It
10
wasn't.
minutes before the last half hour
Yeah.
and the last 20 minutes. Like there's a bit in the middle that I hadn't seen.
Okay, but give us your thoughts. Like,
So Dad tried his best for me to not go into it with high hopes because
I kept trying to
I
lower the
know it's
bar so
his
she'd be
favorite Star
impressed.
Wars movie, but the whole time Dad was like, "It's not good. It's not good. Like it's not good, but like
Well, I was,
don't be expecting this great movie. Don't be what." And I think that worked surprisingly
well,
because I did think based on your thing, it was like, "Oh, it's not the best movie. It's the best of this kind of movie,"
yes.
which
And
it
I was
is.
saying things like, I'm like, the good news about this movie is one of the things that I like about it is that it's not about the people in episode three. And it's and it does it even have people?
Got Darth Vader
just Darth Vader,
It does have
and
Darth.
the
Yeah,
rebel lady who's in charge. In charge.
the Rebel
Mon
late.
Mothma.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah.
But it's
It
not the
has
same. It's not the same crew. It's not the same actors. It's actually they do have Leia, I guess, in it, huh?
Yeah, but
She's kind of
yeah.
scary.
only a little bit.
Is
Leia and
the
then the one General Empire guy,
Grand Moff Tarkin?
Grand Moff Tarkin, yeah.
So why does he look so much better in CGI than Leia? Is it because Leia is young and has smooth face, and Tarkin is like
Still old.
chiseled and like he's got wrinkles and he's like 1,000 years old? Because the
Yeah.
CGI at that when that movie came out was not super strong, but he looked pretty good, and she looked kind of scary. She was like, she had like one line, and you're like, whoa,
They have her
like
at the very end. They have her turned around for most of it. I was like, oh, they're not going to show her face at all. And then she turns around. I was like,
that's because it was supposed to be a big surprise, right?
Yeah, they could have left her not turned around. It would have
Just
given the same
like,
effect.
oh, I was gonna do. You haven't, Hannah, you haven't watched The Mandalorian.
neither have I.
I
I've
have,
seen one and a
yeah,
half.
I'll just say I haven't seen it because I
Okay,
don't remember anything.
so do you care about any spoilers then?
Yeah, I'm in my big rewatch. Don't spoil it.
Oh, okay,
No
then I won't
spoilers.
bring it up.
I know Luke Skywalker is in it.
Okay,
Is that
that's
what
what I
you're
was
gonna
gonna
talk
mention
about?
because like
Okay.
he's totally like digital, right, and young,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I just rewatched that one the other day, and I forgot that he comes in all
I
like,
thought that takes place after The Last Jedi.
yes, it does.
Oh,
But he's
so
an actual. He's wearing the black. He's got the hand. The
why do they CGI him then?
because
He's
that
less
episode
old.
came out what, like 2 years ago, and he's like 70 now.
He's like 70 in that movie though. No
No,
need for
no,
CGI.
that happened after Return of the Jedi.
Oh, Return of the Jedi,
Yeah,
not The Last Jedi.
not yeah,
Okay.
Which Jedi movie?
yeah, yeah.
This is
Yeah.
the same when we were talking about people talk about the Clone Wars, and although the second movie is called The Attack of the Clones, not the Clone Wars, people still mix them up, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
Okay,
You,
can I just give my 2 cents on the Clone Wars?
oh yeah.
hmm
I've
The
shared this with
movie
you.
or the show?
Wait, pause.
Generally
Oh,
speaking,
okay, okay, okay.
Dad gets movies for us all the time. There was one time you got us like probably the first 3 seasons of the Clone Wars, the
the
series,
the
and
series.
you were like, Becca, this is an excellent show. You should watch this show. This is good.
Oh yeah.
And that's all you said about it. And I don't think you've actually ever seen it.
I've seen maybe one
But
episode.
you were like,
Maybe
this is
I was like,
good.
this is
You
pretty
need to
cool.
watch this.
What maybe I meant we should watch it.
Let's get it again and we'll watch
Okay,
it.
okay. All right, here's my, as Hannah would say, hot take on the Clone Wars. I remember when I remember when each of these movies came out, when they re-released, actually, yeah, when they re-released the 4, 5, and 6, and then they came out with episode 1, 2, and 3, and in 1, 2, and 3, and they introduced their version of the Clone Wars, and I was disappointed because when I like years ago. nobody knew what the Clone Wars meant, and I don't read the books or anything, so I don't
You
know.
have a lot of the
I have
books.
two of the books, never read them. I had a Star Wars encyclopedia
I never read that.
which references stuff from the books and stuff from the movies,
I
so
love
you know which is
all
which.
Star Wars
But
encyclopedias and like text spark notes, whatever. They're always like, "Is this canon? It's from this.
yeah,
Make up your mind about what you think
so
about
so
that."
I didn't know what the Clone Wars was. Like they reference them, they talk about them in the movies, and you're like, "Ooh, that's cool. What's a Clone War?" You know? And so I made up what that meant in my mind. And because it was vastly different from what they put in the movies, I was disappointed. So my version of the Clone Wars, and I don't know the plot behind the Clone Wars, but in my mind, I thought this is really cool. This could be like Cloak and Dagger stuff because I thought they would clone individuals, and then there would be this, you would never know who was the real person or the clone version of the person. And so they could infiltrate like the good and the bad side.
Clone Yoda.
Yeah, like clone Yoda and clone, and you didn't know who was good or bad. And I'm like, that could be really cool. Like you could really do some cool storytelling. Instead, no, they took one stupid stormtrooper and made like a billion of him. I don't know.
They just
Wait,
needed an
I
army.
was let down.
Mm.
so are the stormtroopers are clones?
No,
I mean, they started that way.
Yeah, but they're
Well, did they? I
because
don't
they cloned Jango Fett. He's
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
yeah. But eventually it wasn't just him. Like there were others. I mean, other people were
In
stormtroopers.
in the seventh one, Finn is a
Yeah, Finn's
stormtrooper,
a
but
stormtrooper.
he's always been a stormtrooper. Is he a clone?
No, no. What I think it was is they made the clone army so that they could have this army,
Yeah.
and then the idea of the clone army turned into the stormtroopers. So
Yeah,
they just
this,
started getting regular people. They weren't going to make clones anymore.
why
Does that
not?
make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah, it does
okay.
make sense, but why would they stop making clones
Yeah.
instead of just recruiting people from random
They
planets?
they literally made the clones so that they were like more docile, more
Yeah,
better fighters.
yeah, instead what? You get a Finn, right?
Yeah.
Who he goes rogue.
Yeah, what the heck?
Speaking of rogue.
Rogue One, we're back.
Fun.
Caught you there, we're back.
Becca, when I've heard you say before that you've watched the last 30 minutes of this movie, so you knew the ending. But then when I
Okay,
asked you
so
about after you watched the movie and you said I was disappointed because I didn't know Cassian died.
okay, here's actually what
Wait, the part you watched before we
here's
watched the full movie, was it when he dies?
here's the part I actually watched
Oh,
in the gym, which is different than the last hour of the film. I watched when the blind guy, I don't remember his name. I watched when he does
I won with the force is with
he
me.
walks through all of the things and he turns it
Like
off.
probably one of the best scenes in
I've
the
seen that part. You skip ahead probably 15 minutes. I've seen now the part where Jin is outside up on the big tower. I've seen that whole tower
yeah,
part. I've seen them leave the tower. That's all I've seen.
Okay.
That is about half an hour,
but not
but that's
but
not together
you
or
didn't
the
see the Death
last.
Star shooting the planet and
Nope.
the okay.
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 I was
So what it
disappointed.
wasn't like a huge spoiler. Okay, so generally speaking then, now that you've seen the whole thing,
Oh, spoilers by
like
the way for Rogue One. If you haven't seen it,
a little late
Cassian
for
dies at the
that.
Wait,
end.
do they talk about this planet being gone
They
in
don't
they don't
explode the planet, they
The
explode the
the
city.
city.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. Sorry.
Twice
Do they
they
talk about
sh
this city being gone?
Yeah. In fact, when they talk about testing the Death Star, Tarkin actually was the one who's like, yeah, we don't need to blow up the whole planet. We just need to make a,
Yeah.
yeah, like
What
giving
is
them an
the example?
example. And so they did the city near wherever Saw Gerrera is. What was the
Jeddah.
name of Jeddah? And then they did the that little Caribbean
Yeah.
location where the files
The
were
Maldives.
Oh, what I'm
Maldives.
saying is we've seen episodes 1 through 6. We know what's going on. Do we know before we watch Rogue One that this city is going to be destroyed?
You mean
Jeddah?
is it hinted at in other
Oh,
in the
Yeah,
other
is
episodes?
this it? I
I don't
don't remember
I
it
don't think
being.
so.
know because I don't think it's ever mentioned. It's a small place in the middle of nowhere, and the only significance it has is that it had that they kept all the files. That was like their like
Plus,
backup file location.
after this, they didn't keep any files there. So,
So it was a surprise that Cassian was
yeah.
gonna die at the end of this movie.
Okay.
I think
Would you
so.
like a recap
Yeah,
or
yeah, let's hear a
okay,
recap on that.
recap. This takes place between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. Wow, this takes place right before A
Right
New Hope.
before New
I
Hope.
thought it took place in the middle. It takes place right before.
We
Um,
actually
Oh wait,
Googled it
pause.
while we watched the movie. We Googled that.
well, at the
Pause.
very, very
Also,
beginning,
Becca was mad that I didn't tell her that Andor takes place before Rogue One.
because I was like, Cassian is in Andor.
Yeah,
Andor
she asked me
takes
about that. I'm
place.
like, the name of that series is Andor because of that guy.
Here's
Yeah.
Like,
because I knew the actor was in Andor. I didn't know his name was Andor. I thought that was the name of a place.
so
I
did
didn't,
I when it first came out.
and I didn't know he was in Rogue One. And so I was like, he's an Andor. He's another Star Wars guy.
Cassian Andor.
But that's his last. His names are backwards. His name should be Andor
Andor.
Cassian, but it's wrong. Anyway, I also
It
thought,
it he actually was named Andor Cassian, but they just call him that because of the command and or
oh, okay,
Cassian, so they just call him Cassian.
yeah. I also thought it took place right in the middle, not directly in front of A New Hope, which I was like, yeah, you
What
can
did
squeeze
what did
in
we
Andor
Google?
before that.
How old is
Luke Skywalker.
Luke Skywalker?
He's
19.
19 in A New
He
Hope.
was 19 in
So it
A
is
New Hope.
19 years in between. The very, very beginning of Rogue One is what, 15 years? So
It's
it's
when
15 years before New Hope.
Jin was
5, 6, 10. It's like 15
young.
years. So
You're saying the one scene at the beginning.
yes, the
Yeah.
very one scene at the beginning. So this is a couple of years into the Empire, but not like crazy. Here's what happens. There's a scientist dude. He has a daughter. The scientist dude, he doesn't want to work for the Empire, but the Empire's like, you actually have to work for us.
Time out. In the real world, okay, this actor, Mads Mikkelsen,
Always plays the bad guy.
is he the bad guy in every movie he's ever
I
in?
made a note. I said this might be the only good
It-
guy role he's ever
and
had.
And he plays a
and he
good guy
played
being a bad guy.
yeah, so he's still
Yeah.
kind of a bad guy, right?
Yeah.
He did design and build the Death Star. Well, he
Yeah.
didn't build it. I guess he kind of
I have a
designed
question.
it, but
Okay, skipping ahead a little bit. He designed the hole in the Death Star. Did he design the hole in the Death Star too? The
well,
second Death Star, the Death Starer?
how did the second Death Star
It's
get
just
exploded?
it's slightly different. It's the same thing. They
They
just
went
shoot into the
they went in and flew around
same
the
thing though. They go into the reactor, they shoot at it, they
no,
literally
because in the first one you just have to shoot in the hole. The second one they had to
This-
fly into the
that's
hole
because the hole's much bigger because the
and
Death Star is much bigger.
shoot the face from
So it took them long time to make. Technically, the very end of Revenge of the Sith is before the very beginning of Rogue One because they have a half-built Death Star in the last scene.
well, how long do you think it takes to build a Death Star?
That's what I was gonna say. They take forever to build the first Death Star. They figure it out. They build it. It takes them the course of one movie to make a Death Star that's like 10 times the size of it.
Maybe they had the idea, they're building the frame, and they're like, we need a sweet engineer to like put the power of the sun inside of this big
No,
Control, Alt, expand.
well, are you saying that,
Is there a second
well,
name
because,
for
okay, when he goes to get
Death Star? More Death.
Urso back, he's already, like, worked for him. So I'm assuming he made the plans already, and now they want him back to, like,
Yes.
execute stuff.
Oh, Hannah just called you out. Do
Okay.
you understand what
Yes,
she's
I
saying?
do. Okay, we're understanding. Anyway,
He somehow he got out and has been farming on some planet.
his name is
Yeah.
something Urso. Mr. Urso.
Jin's the daughter.
Dad's name, Mr. He
Galen.
Galen.
So,
Galen. He gets yoinked by the Empire. He is like, fine, I have to go build for them. He's like, if I'm gonna build for them, I'm gonna put a little hole in the Death Star because if I don't do it, someone will do it and they won't put a hole. Jin grows up. She's like, I hate the Empire, I hate the system, but it doesn't matter because you can't change nothing. She's wanted for like regular crimes, but also everybody wants her because she's the daughter
But
of
who really knows that?
just a handful of people. The Republic is like, hey, we're the Republic. We fight the Empire. They're looking for her, I guess, because they need her for to get him, the other guy, the guy that raised her.
You're talking about the rebels, right?
Yeah,
They want to find her so that she can make an introduction to Saw Gerrera
yeah.
because Saw was supposedly given a message by Galen
By
Erso
getting her through a pilot
so
who
that
defected.
yeah, so that
They, she gets teamed up with a robot whose name I can't remember.
K2SO
K2SO.
K2SO should have been in my head, obviously.
played
Uh,
by Hannah
Alan Tudyk.
Alan Tudyk, who was just in a movie we just watched. What was it? What did we just watch that he was in?
Rogue One. It was
He's in
this.
everything. What isn't he in?
It was this because y'all were like,
Firefly?
who is that? And you
Oh,
were like,
oh no, 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 wait. No, wait. It was oh, oh, we watched we watched a little clip from A Knight's Tale.
Oh
oh,
yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was.
that's it.
We watched
6 seconds.
we watched 45 seconds of A Knight's Tale and he was in that. Yeah,
Yep.
that's right. He was pretty good.
Knight's Tale's a pretty good movie. What was I saying? Partnered up with the robot, partnered up with Cassian. Cassian is like planning on killing Urso.
Well, he
Like
wasn't planning on it.
he was
Ordered
told to there's like a
because they thought
line
that
where
was the
someone,
only way that it would stop the
yeah,
Death
we
Star.
killed a scientist, we
Even
killed
though
the
like
Death
it was
Star.
done at the time, like basically done.
Yeah. But what were they gonna do? Blow it up? They didn't know they could do that yet.
Yeah.
They all go together. They find the guy they're looking for. They find the pilot. The guy they're looking for is like just like that.
Which guy? Which guy was doing that?
I'm forgetting his name. The guy who raised Jin.
Saw?
Saw.
Saw Gerrera.
Saw Gerrera.
Saw Gerrera might be my least favorite
He goes,
character ever.
"For gullet!" That guy.
I hate him.
He's not crazy. He's not. He's crazy. I'm not crazy about him.
He's
He.
also in Andor, and I feel like his whole like it's just worse in Andor. I'm like, oh, I guess the way he talks and like just the way he like conducts himself, it just puts me on edge, and it really, I hate it.
Well, he's not there to make you feel warm and fuzzy.
Yeah.
It's so annoying.
Okay.
Anyway, they find him. They find the pilot. He's like, Jin, it's me. Tell me all your secrets. Show me the plan. Shows him the message. The message like, there's a hole in the Death Star. You need to find the plans. Boom! The Death Star be shooting at them because they're in Jeddah, where there's a Jedi temple. There, there's a temple when there were Jedi, still there. There's a guy who is like part of the like Jedi religion, but he's not like a Jedi. He wasn't trained, but he's got like the Force in him. He's like blind also. He's got a buddy who likes guns. I don't know their names.
Like we watched a special feature that said, were you with me on that one?
Yeah.
Where the actor who played Blind Jedi, whose name escapes us at the moment,
Yeah.
that
Google says Karut Imwe?
he
Chirrut.
he's the one who came up with the idea of him being blind. It wasn't in the script.
Oh,
So he came up with that on his own. And then the other guy with the vacuum on his back that happens to shoot lots of bullets. Those guys were, if you ever get emotional in a movie, it's watching those guys towards the end.
I
Like,
love
oh,
good friendship. I love
yeah,
music. So good. Anyway, they
they are really have nothing to do with this movie.
yep. But they're there. They just happen to be there, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
we'll fight for your
yeah.
cause. Like, there's this really cool
They're like,
fight
wow,
scene.
this,
They're there, you know,
let's get on this plane with you. Okay.
so quick. It's easy.
It's because
They
here's
felt the
the yes,
force.
it's the unsaid thing is that he knew that Jin was good and like and the Force told him to follow and help.
Yeah.
That's not in the movie, but
Anyway, they all go with him, and we're like, we're gonna go find him. The Death Star is there. They're like, we're gonna blow up Jeddah. Blows up the town. They all run away except for the guy who's in charge, who's like, I actually don't need to leave because I'm just gonna die. And they're like, okay, peace out. They run.
that was
The
Saw. Yeah. Saw Gerrera.
the message gets exploded, so only Jin knows, but Jin is the only one who already knew
Yeah, you'd
the
think
message.
somebody would think to grab that.
She was like, they were like, so did you grab it? And she's like,
Uh,
I got it
and
up here.
it was like,
just like in every movie, she's like, it all happened so fast.
yeah, she's like, oh. It wasn't even like, oh, shoot. It was just like, yeah, I forgot to grab it. Like, suspicious, like.
And then they asked the pilot, "Did you see it?" He's like, "No,
No,
I just brought it
I'm
to."
just the messenger. Anyway, they all go and they're like, okay, we have to go find the Death Star plans. And they go to the rebellion. The rebellion's like, actually, we're all in pieces. I have a question about this. The rebellion is a bunch of groups together.
It's a bunch of people who are fighting against the
Yeah,
Empire.
yes. They all like, we're gonna have to decide together to fight. And if we don't all decide together, they're all about democracy and stuff. That's like their deal.
No, they were all about like together we stand or united we fall. What is it? United we.
I don't know. But they were,
But they're like we.
their point is that they wanted to agree together. They don't end up agreeing, so they're agreeing, so they're like, okay, we're gonna stand out. But there were people who wanted to fight who didn't fight. Their purpose was like, oh, we're gonna lose too many men. But they were like, oh, I'm good losing my men, so I'll just help. They didn't do that still. Anyway. Then they're like, we can't help you. And so but then Cassian is like, okay, so I'm like a terrible dude, and these guys are all terrible guys, but we did it for like to stop the Empire, so we're gonna stop the Empire so that we feel good. And she's like, sweet, let's go get the Death Star plans. We're gonna go to this sweet Bahamas uh planet. We're gonna go pick up the Death Star plans. Then epic battle space stuff, like Star Wars be doing. They need to get into the planet past the shields. They need to get into the building with the
Oh, yeah, there
physical.
was a planetary shield and only one entrance.
Yeah.
That's
They need to get a
Genius.
it's a
physical
big shield.
uh like drive with the plans on it. And then they need to get that transmit the plans to the ship. The ship transmits the plans through the barrier to the rebels. So for in order you need to get the drive, you need to open the shield, and you need to make the plane work so they can receive it. Many people are doing these many things at many times. There's an epic battle going on at the same time. It's pretty sweet. It's a good chunk
It's
of the
pretty
movie,
sweet, actually.
but I'm gonna skip over it for the sake of the summary.
Yeah.
Many people die. Ah, blind guy. Ah, he's dead. Ah, the stormtrooper. Ah, he's dead. Oh no. They do a little fight. The guy who's in charge of all the stormtroopers, whatever.
Critic?
He's like, no, you can't have the disc. Like, that's my property. And she's like, no, get out of here. Yeah. They run away. And now it's just Cassian and
Jin.
Jin. They've successfully transmitted the plans, but the Death Star is actually attacking them. They're like, okay, let's hug. They hug. The Death Star gets them. Roll the
Gets them.
credits.
Roll the credits.
That's how it
No,
is.
you've left out
Oh,
the coolest scene of all the Jedi movies or all the Star Wars movies.
what, the lightsaber battle?
Yeah.
Darth Vader
Darth
is there,
Vader.
Darth Vader.
and he's slicing up
Up
them
until this
ropes.
point chronologically, well, I guess that's not true because they did with episodes like 1, 2, and 3, they did like make the scenes with the lightsabers better, because like back in the 70s and 80s, this was the fight scene. It was like "Ah, ah."
Yeah.
And I was always like, "Ah, are these guys old or how come they're not using the Force?" And they started to do that in the episodes 1 and 2 and
The
3.
best use of the Force ever is you're in front of your opponent. You're like, let's fight. And he's like, let's fight. Your opponent picks up their lightsaber. Me? No. Force, pushing lightsaber in my hand. Yoda does this several times. It looks epic.
Where he goes like this and like,
Yeah.
"Whoop."
just flies with it. Why wouldn't you do that every single time?
Episodes one, two, and three do the lightsaber battles better and use the Force. Kenobi show, that's when you see Vader use the Force. I think the Sith use the Force better than the Jedi.
Yeah.
'Cause they'll like,
They're while they're fighting, yeah, they're pushed.
yeah,
They're doing the force push. They're
yeah.
It's
getting they're
unsportsmanlike.
getting big things to like come over and hit them and stuff
In
like that.
Kenobi,
Using their
Vader
surroundings
pulls down a ship with
with the
the
Yeah.
force.
Force.
See, that was a little much. I thought about that, especially when we rewatched this movie, because at the end of this epic scene in Rogue One where Vader is he's trying to get the plans that they're desperately
And
trying to
he's
get
literally
away.
4 feet away from him.
Yeah, and he's like cutting down like all these
He's like,
guys with the
take the
big
disc,
the
take
big
the disc,
helmets.
run
Yeah.
to the next guy, take the disc, take the disc,
That was
run to
pretty
the next
emotional
guy.
too.
Yeah.
But then like they take the disc, they get it into they give it to Leia, she takes off and like Vader gets there right as her ship is going away. And I'm thinking of that scene you just mentioned where why didn't he
Hmm.
just like, I'm going to use my force to grab this entire ship, but he doesn't do it there.
Yeah.
He's
Maybe
gonna
he's
put
like,
Anakin in it.
he's like whipped because he just took care of these 14 guys behind him.
I
Yeah.
think this movie
I
did
don't
an
know.
excellent job of like humanizing, not humanizing, like all the people who die on both sides in the rebellion, they're like guys. They're like average Joes who chose to come fight, and they all be dying for
That's,
to get rid
this
of the
is one
Republic.
of the reasons why I liked Rogue One because they all died.
Everybody
I
dies.
think that was realistic,
Yeah,
like it wasn't
they're all real dudes, and they
it
all
wasn't
die.
where like in other movies where they magically survive or they come back to life or like they fought for a cause and then like they paid the price and that's what makes them a martyr and that's what makes it powerful. And that little bit at the end where like they actually get the plans and all of a sudden it clicks for you and you're like, "Oh, this is exactly how A New Hope starts."
Yeah.
Hmm.
Although it is a little funny that like they make this big deal of the fact that they have this big computer with all their files in it, and they got these plans to the Death Star. Imagine how many plans for a planet-sized,
Yeah, it's a huge
and
drive.
they're like, we have to we got to transmit it through this
Oh,
thing and it's all this stuff, and we can't do it because the files are so big. And then suddenly it comes down onto
they put it in a little
this little
thumb
mini
drive disc.
this little mini disc, and I'm like, well, you can put it on a little thin piece of whatever, but you can't email it to your guy up in space.
Maybe
Like,
between when she escaped, she looked at him, grabbed the important stuff, put it in R2D2.
yeah, like
Back.
they just slide it into R2 and I don't know. But anyway, I thought that was a perfect segue into
Yeah,
Star
it's
Wars.
pretty
I was
good.
like, oh man, they pulled that off.
I also like how like in the same thing where it's like more realistic because everyone dies and they're also like real pe like more people. Everyone's mean. If I was in the Republic, I'd be mean too. All my friends be dying. Like
Well, it's interesting
a
to
little
me
upset.
because I've been watching season two of Andor, and when season two ends, it's supposed to be right before Rogue One, but there's still three episodes that haven't come out yet when we're recording this. So there's three episodes that is what we just met K2SO. I just watched episode 9, and there's supposed to be 12 episodes.
Hey, we
So
haven't watched any of them,
I
so
know, no spoilers, but we just met K2SO, and they're like best buds in Rogue One. And at this point, Cassian is like, he works for a guy in the rebellion, but he's not fully in the rebellion. Like, he's just doing a job after a job. Like, but he also wants out of that. So I don't know what's gonna happen in the last three episodes that now at the beginning of Rogue One, he's like fully in the rebellion, like he's at that station working with everybody else, like in a
you're
team.
talking about Cassian?
Yeah, Cassian.
Yeah.
Because like where I just left him in season two, he does not want anything to do with this. But also in season two, there's been like an episode, and then the beginning of next episode, they say 1 year later. next episode 1 year later.
Yeah.
So I
So
wonder if
you
they're
don't know
gonna
how
jump
much time is going
time.
to pass. But think
Yeah.
about so oh well, I'm confusing Andor season one with the beginning of Rogue One.
I ain't seen
Because
Andor.
remember, yeah,
At
you're
the end of
right.
Rogue One, when Jin is like, "How could you do this?" All this stuff, and he's like, "How could you do this? How come you're not fighting with
Yeah, he's
fighting
like,
the
I've been
rebellion?"
in,
He's
in
like,
this
"I've
fight
been
since I was
since I
6.
was 6, but
Yeah.
he wasn't always in the
Kinda.
rebellion."
He's
I
always
think I did note that when he said it, but I think it's because the planet he's from, when he was really young, the Empire took over that planet and
yeah,
like,
they're always fighting against the bad guys. It
yeah,
wasn't always an organized
yeah,
rebellion, but
because
he's always
he
been
actually
against
didn't want anything to do with the rebellion in all of season one and so far season two.
yeah. Well, it was
He was
early in
waiting
season one where
26 and then stopped, and
he
then
thought he was getting his money, his
Yeah,
payday, and he wanted to take his mom and be like, she's like, where are we going? He's like, anywhere. We can go anywhere you want. Like, just get away. We can get away from, and she's like, you can't get away from the bad guys.
yeah,
She's
I
like,
ain't
I'm
seen that.
staying. That's because you haven't watched season one yet of
That's what I
Andor.
said. I said I ain't seen it.
Yeah.
you should. It's good.
You still got a
I think,
mom? That's like revolutionary. No one's got moms in Star Wars.
Well, do you want me to
No.
spoil that for you? It's not
I
really.
think Andor, yeah, I think Andor,
It's
what has
three.
happened in season one and season two, it takes like 4 episodes to get really good, and then it continues to be good the
Do,
rest of the
do you feel
season.
like are most series that way where you have to go if you can just get through episode two?
Yeah.
Okay, when
If
I
you
try
can
to
just get past
recommend,
episode three, then it gets good.
if I'm recommending a show to, first off, nobody takes my recommendations because nobody listens to me.
To this day, I can't watch Doctor Who. I don't know.
I've never ever recommended
Oh,
Doctor
okay,
Who
okay.
to anybody. Doctor Who, I enjoy watching it, but
I
it's
I
not a
made
show
it.
to
I made
recommend.
it one episode, season one. I was like, nah, I don't think I'm
When
gonna keep
when I
watching.
talked to you guys, I was like, you were like, oh, maybe I should watch Doctor Who. Becca likes watching Doctor Who. I was like, you have to skip to season two, but you also have to watch season one, or else it doesn't make sense. Even though all you really just have to watch the first and last episode of season one, and then you can watch season two.
So you were saying nobody takes your
But
advice,
anyway,
or
nobody takes my advice. But even more, if you're like, oh, you have to watch this amount of stuff before it gets good. If it's one episode, you have to watch the first episode before it gets good. You have to watch the first season before it gets good. Absolutely. People tell you to your face, they're like, I'm not doing that. That's ridiculous. You want me to
Yeah.
watch a
because they
show
don't want to
before I
invest.
watch a show? And I'm like, do you not
Okay,
have an hour and a half?
so let me ask both of you then. So is it true that these series really don't get good until season two or three or four, or is it because now we really are committed because we've invested all this time
I think it's both.
and we know the characters and now all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, well, now I'm into it.
I
You know,
think
like
it's a little bit of both. For like, I think when you especially shows that run long or sequels that come out way after each other, the writers and the like people in charge kind of take the characters and they like exaggerate them to a point where like because you watched it, you're like, that's so this person, even though they wouldn't have acted that way recently. Take for example,
Psych.
Mamma
Oh,
Mia 2. Psych is a really good, but we'll talk about Mamma Mia 2. Every character in Mamma Mia 2 is an exaggerated version of how they are in the first movie. All of the people in the real time, not the back. Yeah, well, a little bit
Mhm.
when they're in the past, but like in Mamma Mia 1, Rosie is like, lone wolf, this, whatever. She just makes little comments. She has this personality. In the second one, they're like, Rosie's lover, carbs. The other aunt, whose I'm forgetting, she's like,
Anya?
alcohol. Tanya, alcohol. And that's all they are. And because, like, they're just blowing them up to, like, this one little thing. And I think that happens with shows that go on
they're trying
forever.
to, well, they were trying to make money on a second version, but they didn't have.
What?
They tried so hard in Mamma Mia 1 to like make a story around all those ABBA songs and they pulled it off, I thought, pretty well, except for a stupid ending. And then they're like, well, how do we like are there more ABBA songs? I don't know. They use some different ones, but
I think
they
with
had used
I think with the Star Wars shows in specifically, I think what they're doing is
Pacifically.
Uh,
specifically.
do you post me? I said like,
I thought
They're
she was
doing
talking
what do
about
you
the
post to me?
they're taking a story that that could be a movie, but then they're breaking it up and like adding way more so it's now a series. But just like a movie, you have to have some story building right at the beginning, but because they've elongated it into a series, that makes it 4 episodes story building instead of 20-30 minutes story building. Does that make sense?
I think most shows, one episode story building is good. That's like it. Because all the episodes, one movie, here's you have a movie. Here's the length of a movie. And then you have all the stuff in a movie. You take that movie, you break it into episodes. Now it can't go as high. It's a bunch of little bumps. You have that beginning and end, beginning and end, beginning and end, like cliffhangers, more action, more immediate,
because
like
you want to have each
bigger.
story within the story.
Yeah, you'd be like, oh, that episode was so good. Not those 10 minutes of that movie were so good. Like, it's not the same thing. You don't get the same, you write them differently. Well, if you're good, you write them differently. I think there's a lot of turning movies into shows or shows into movies that don't work that good.
Yeah.
Which is the same thing with books, but I'm not gonna get into that. I ain't getting into that.
You want to know my biggest problem with this movie?
What?
Yes.
They get to Jeddah. It's sunny outside. It looks like a sandy desert place. They're wearing full-on winter clothes. He
I
has,
love Cassian's
Just
pink slip.
because it's a
That's
desert
awesome.
doesn't mean it's hot.
but it's blazing sun. It's just like, what do you mean? There's no cold deserts.
This is the thing that bothers you the most.
We live in a
Yeah.
cold desert. It's hot, but like the
Yeah.
Arctic is desert.
And also
Nothing
when the
grows
like,
there because it's cold.
yeah.
Ooh.
But also when this when they're on Jeddah and he's like, we gotta go find the guy or whatever, and they're like walking through the streets, and then the stormtroopers show up and they have that like fight in the middle of the street, and the people are trying to steal their cargo, which is the kyber crystals.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
I see.
open the container. They open the container to like check that it's actually the kyber crystals, and it's one massive crystal. I thought kyber crystals were like
Well,
this.
so that's the reason why the bad guys are there, right? Because they have a Kyber mine, don't they?
Yeah, but
They're,
still, I thought they were still just little
I
crystals.
thought kyber crystals, like proper kyber crystals for lightsabers, were made for the like
yeah,
small
they're
lightsaber,
like
but
little,
they're just trying to like harvest it for the energy, so they're making the mine differently, and they're using it,
Mm.
and they're getting the
maybe
big
that,
chunks so they can shove them into the Death Star.
yeah, that scene, you just got lucky. One guy got a really big, huge one, and all
Yeah.
the others had these little
They
slivers,
they've got their lightsaber, and he's
Kyber
got his
sliver.
lightsaber.
They're like, oh, that big
Yeah.
one, that one goes to Death Star. Small one, lightsaber.
Well,
Yeah.
who's got a lightsaber? I guess Darth Vader.
Because she has one around her neck.
It's broken. I thought that was going to be relevant. It wasn't.
No, maybe they'll make another one.
But actually, the biggest thing about this movie, the ending, okay, they all die, fine. It makes sense for the story. It's a well-rounded ending, like Dad said, nobody's coming back just willy-nilly. However, they could have gotten away.
Yes, they
Cassian
could
and
have.
Jin just like sat down on the beach and they were like, "Yep." The like
You mean the
blowing,
same way they got away when the Death Star blasted?
Yeah,
yeah,
there's
Yeah.
time. There's working ships too.
they showed us that they could do it, and then it wasn't even as close as it was for Jeddah. It was like
Okay.
way off in the horizon.
While you're listing off things that you don't like about it, do you know why? Do you know why my wife doesn't like the ending? I think it's my wife.
Because they all because they
So you're
die.
referencing the
They don't
scene.
kiss.
They don't kiss.
There you go.
They're like, oh, and they're just like, we're dead. Like she's like, what? They don't like. I'm like,
I
okay.
felt that.
They kind of hated each other the first half, the movie,
Yeah,
but you know.
I've heard that before, and rewatching it, they kind of give like romancy vibes, but it's
A
not
little
like
bit.
in the storyline.
Okay, I having rewatched it with you, they completely change the vibe between them after it doesn't it goes until he decides that he's going to fight when the rebels say
Yeah.
no, we're out, and then
He's
he
like,
shows up and he's like, we're going to do this, and then she's like, oh, like
Yeah.
then,
I feel
then they have these longing looks at each other and
I feel like hugs
Yeah.
are more like you're like, oh, I've got nobody else. We're about to die. Like, I'm just gonna hold you. Like, it's more, I don't know, like it's different. Like you're just like, goodbye.
I like that they didn't kiss. And you know me, I'm all about the romance. I love a romance movie, but it doesn't fit and
Yeah.
it wasn't needed in the story and also it doesn't really fit the characters
yeah.
in the
See,
way it ended.
another unique, and that's the other reason why I like it because it's not the stereotypical, you know,
I do think they totally could have gotten away. They're leaving
they
the
could have.
tower. The beach is here. The ships are here.
Uh-oh. Oh man,
My lens just popped
got
out.
so excited. Yeah, but their pilot's dead.
Yeah,
They
but
blew up that they blew up
yeah,
that ship.
yeah,
So
but
they
Cassian could have piloted it.
it's a
they have to
one shot.
find another ship.
I either give up or I figure out how to pilot a ship. I think I'm gonna try. Here's a beach. They're like, oh, do you? He's like injured.
When they
He's like,
got in,
they had to have. He's like, do you want
they
to go to the
talked to
beach
the
or do you want to try to
pilot and
escape?
they
He's like, the
said,
beach.
"You are
He
our
lived.
only way out of here."
Were other ships next to his
Were
ship.
Okay,
there?
Yeah,
I guess yeah. They're making the big deal that like, oh, they need the pilot, they need the pilot. Cassian is a pilot.
Yes. There
they.
were X-wings and stuff, right? They
Yeah,
were,
I
yeah.
think they needed the pilot like the same way that he had like codes and like knew the way. Like I think they needed him for like to get in. Like he's an insider, not he knows how to pilot the ship,
Yeah.
even though he
But to
does.
get away, he could have flown whatever was around.
When see, I got the vibe when they all get there and they're like, "We're gonna make 10 men feel like 100 and we're gonna get this. This is your job and this is your job. This is your job." And he's like, "What's my job?" And he's like, "You get to stay in the car." Like I felt like it was like you don't get to
So
do
you're talking
anything,
about the
just stay
pilot?
here. Yeah,
He actually did have a pivotal
I
role,
know,
you
but it
know,
was like
at
you get
towards the
to
end.
you stay in the car, like
That was didn't isn't that when that line came up? It was like, "You're our only way out of here." Like,
something like that. Yeah,
keep the car
One of
running.
the one
We'll be
of the
coming in
crew
hot.
guys, I don't even remember his name.
one of the
Uh,
crew.
he's just like he's on the ship with when they go to the Bahamas planet, and he's like, "Oh, we're gonna go." He's the one who has to go. Like, I don't even remember what his
He has
job
to go
was.
find the switch to turn the
Yeah, but
thing
it
so that
wasn't the
they can
blind guy.
transmit
Yeah,
the.
yeah. So you had to
Is
go
that who
get
you're
the
talking
switch or
about?
something. In Andor, season two, there's an episode where somebody, it wasn't Cassian, somebody comes to like meet up with the rebels and they make kind of like a deal about they're like, oh, whose blaster is this? And he steps to the side and he's like, it's mine. And it's you're like, oh, they're making a deal out of this guy being in the show. So he's clearly in Rogue One, like he's gonna be important. But he wasn't even a big role in
I
Rogue
feel
One.
like
Like,
when watching the show the
Cameo.
first time,
yeah.
he's like, "You need to go do the kill switch. It's over there." And then he was like, and then I was like, "Okay, where's the kill switch? What's the kill switch? What do I do for the kill
Obviously, it's
switch?"
the big one that goes like this, you know.
And then he's like, "It's just over there." And I'm like, "Oh, yes, sir. I'll just go over there and figure out which one's the kill switch."
And he couldn't figure it out. It took a blind guy.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It was the biggest red lever that you could find
Was
on
it
the board.
red?
Just like
It
brain
was a
red.
big lever. Yeah. I
Like
don't know.
that seems stupid.
Well, yeah. And the other reason why I like this movie is because they only had one, in my opinion, really obvious call out to the other movies. See, like the reason why Solo sucked is because it seemed like the whole movie behind Solo, the whole reason was just to tell us how Chewie and Han got together. Like, how did they get the Millennial Falcon? How did they get,
I do
and they
think
tried to make a movie around it. In Rogue One, the only real obvious one is where they're walking through the town and they bump into those two dudes who yell at Luke Skywalker in the cantina. You know, the dude with the messed up face and his buddy.
Oh, I didn't realize that was
And he's
him.
like, "Hey!" Like they just run into him and he gets all mad because you know what I'm talking about in the cantina where he's like, "You'll be dead." That guy.
No,
Oh man, you know what I'm talking about?
don't remember. I did think there were a lot of lines that were like, "Hey, they say that in this," or like, "Hey, that's like what they say in this." But it was subtle. I like that it was. I don't know if they did it on purpose, but I was definitely hearing that. I like that it wasn't like, "This is a Star Wars movie. You
Yeah,
wanted a Star Wars
there
movie?
is
Got you a Star Wars
there is a
movie."
line.
It's a Star Wars story.
I got a bad feeling about
Yeah,
this.
Yeah.
K2SO
Oh,
says that
don't
at
tell
the
me how.
end. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, they almost said that one. Like, do you want to know the odds behind the? Yeah.
yeah.
So they like reference it, but they didn't really say it. That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
Instead of like,
K2SO might be one of my favorite droids.
well, how many other droids
I
are
mean,
there?
actually, he might be
C3PO,
my
What?
favorite
R2.
droid. He
Asteroid.
might be my favorite droid.
You're
Yeah.
making for Valentine's Day
You
box.
you're gonna
Not
be
mine, but we did an activity with some friends and we were competing for Valentine's Day boxes and one of them made the it's like a box droid and
the
he's
box moved.
yeah, whatever that droid I recognized it and I don't know what movie it's from. There was one in Rogue One. Do you know what I'm talking about? Imagine a
Oh, the
rectangle.
AT-AT?
Imagine the no, a time like a small
I know what
box.
you're talking about. I don't
Half
know
a
what they're
person.
called, but
Yeah, but one of those guys with a little
yeah.
heart Valentine's Day box. They won the competition, even though mine was an excellent box.
Are you
So
talking about the little robots that look like trash cans?
yeah,
Uh,
that's why I called him a trash
yeah,
can robot.
yeah.
I like that Alan Tudyk was a motion capture droid instead of just doing a voiceover. You know what I'm saying?
I did
Like
not
he
know that.
was standing there in the scenes being K2SO.
I'm
I didn't know
not
that.
an actor, but I feel like it's so much like you get more stuff when you're like reacting off people and like they're
Yeah.
actually
Like
doing.
because then he could improv if he wanted. Like the scene where he's like, "Oh, I'll pretend to be the Imperial droid," and he slaps Cassian in the face.
Yeah.
That was improv, and like you can tell in the movie because Diego Luna starts to laugh, and he's like, I wasn't ready for that." But like those things, like I think having the the droid, whoever's playing the droid actually there, makes it a whole lot better.
I
Even
agree.
if even because is it just him and C3PO that are
Real people?
yeah,
They don't have
real
You mean
droids?
droids?
like a teeny tiny guy inside of R2D2.
Yes, they do. They actually had at least three versions of R2. One was remote controlled, one had a little dude inside, and one I think just sat there.
Makes sense.
Um, It'd be a pretty small guy to be in that.
We'll put Reed in it.
Yeah.
I mean, because in episode 4, most of the way R2D2 moves is he's stepping like this
Yeah.
but then in other ones he's rolling. So
Yeah.
I guess maybe that was the oh somebody's in there
Yeah,
stepping.
doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
His wheels were jammed that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't learn that he can actually jet himself around and fly.
Fly.
So is that episode 3 or episode
It's
2?
it's in two.
Is it 2?
I
When he
know
does
he flies
that,
in 3.
when
I
he
don't know
does
if he
that, we
flies.
were all like, "What?" Like, why he can? This is the first time we've seen him fly.
You can only
It's
fly
the
a little bit.
it's the same clip. Becca, do you know the clip I'm talking about where the actors from 789 are talking about the one scene where a stormtrooper flies and they're in the movie they're like, "You can fly now?" And then the actors are like, "I've been doing that since the Clone Wars."
I have not seen that.
You don't
No.
know that clip? Okay, I'll send it to you.
Uh,
We talk a lot about clips from Hannah's Instagram a lot. It's funny though. I never see him when you bring it up, and then you never just
I sent you the one of Hayden Christensen.
you did.
Yeah. It's because what happens is it's all over my feed and then I talk to you about it and I'm like, "Oh, I'll send it to you," and then it disappears. I never see it
It
again.
it knows. It
It
goes, she's done
knows.
with this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
All right.
final thoughts, Dad?
Um, so in the real world news, did they actually get rid of what's her name, who's been behind the Star Wars reboot movies at Lucasfilm?
I have no idea who that is
People have
or if
been
they got
bagging
rid of
on
her.
her for years that she's like destroyed the franchise.
A girl?
Yeah, some lady who ran the studio and she's like retiring or moving on or something like that. And so they're like, oh, finally. But
Georgia
come on,
Lucas.
they're not making any more Star Wars movies. They're just gonna do these dumb little offshoots, right? We got Ahsoka, we got Mandalorian, we got what's the really bad series nobody watched? The Acolyte.
Yeah.
Um, they're just gonna keep
Some
doing that stuff, aren't they? To like recoup their billions they spent on the Star Wars franchise.
Yeah. So,
So
I'm sure they've
yeah.
made their money back.
so I can
Oh, they're making
ignore
a Darth Maul show.
they are?
Hmm.
Is it the origin story? Darth Maul?
They don't need one.
Uh,
Although Darth
it's
Maul,
Darth
it's gonna be
Maul.
the animated Clone Wars Darth
oh,
Maul. I
Oh, okay.
think. Wait,
although
Darth Maul is
in
an
I
excellent
some
think.
minds
bad guy.
growing up, Darth Maul was like a big deal because I didn't watch the 1, 2, 3 for a while. And when I did watch 1 and 2, I was like, he's only in like the one movie, and he's not even in most of it. And he
If
dies in
you,
this movie. I thought he was like a big deal.
he was a big deal.
He's in one movie
I
out of
have
nine.
not gotten to the part in the Clone Wars, but how did he survive being sliced in half?
Well, how does he come back?
He's like a
This is what
little.
I'm saying. I don't know.
He comes back?
Yeah, he's in the Clone Wars TV show.
He's got robot legs.
Yeah, I
Well,
don't. mm. And that's and
I
that
still think
because
that
he's
would be the
because he's
best of his
popular in the Clone Wars
costume.
TV show is why they're making a Darth Maul show now.
yeah,
Have you heard of my excellent couples costume idea?
this is gold.
No.
People are both Darth Maul. One of them, Darth Maul from the waist up, black pants. The other person, tight black beginning,
Morph
Darth
suit,
Maul from the waist down. They get the lightsaber though, so as to complete the fit.
Mm-hmm. Who are
Darth.
you gonna do that with?
I don't know. I have to be.
You'll be in college.
Yeah, I could be. You could be doing it
You
anyway.
gotta find a buddy.
I think Darth Maul
Next this
costumes are
fall.
dope. They're always
Darth Maul
scary.
was scary when that movie came out. Like it was not. I still don't think it's a great movie, but like I'm like, wow, he is kind of a cool like bad guy.
I
You
also
know,
think most.
I've watched that movie many times. Sometimes used to have the disc and I'd put it in and I would just fast forward to the fight scene at the end. That's the only part that you need to watch for that whole movie. You just like you can skip the pod racing, you can skip the Anakin, just go straight to the fight scene.
I think most
Dad.
Siths are like
Oh,
secret Sith. There's no way you're seeing Darth Maul walking around. You're like, that guy is a Sith, and you're just like, what? No, what would you think that? Like,
yeah. Wait, Dad, is the golden box set,
The
is
what?
that golden
that's the
Star
original
Wars box
trilogy.
set? Is that DVDs of the original trilogy?
Are you talking
Trilogy?
Yeah,
about like the one
the
that
one
like
over
we
there.
own?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Are they the
they're
original?
the original trilogy.
I don't know.
They say 4, 5, 6 in Roman
Do they
numerals.
have the unedited Jabba the
The
Hutt?
Oh, I'm
the
not
Mm.
sure.
yes,
Oh,
because those were
cool.
re-release.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Are you talking or like the where they added young Anakin as a hologram
Yeah,
with
yeah,
the other
yeah.
good guys? Why they made him young and the other guys old?
Because he
George
was more
Lucas
Vader
said,
than Anakin.
yeah, that when he redeems himself by throwing Palpatine over the railing, that when he goes back to what do they call it?
Or Ghost.
Jedi heaven? I don't know.
So
Um, that
so
he goes back to,
that was in his good form,
yeah,
not his
I
evil
would
form. Evil form
also
is
yeah,
old Anakin.
I would totally believe that like they got to choose what age they looked and they were all Jedi and like they're like we're fine looking old because we look great and he's like I would prefer to look like I'm 20.
Obi-Wan's
not
like,
burnt.
I'm rocking the beard,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
I'd rather not be like bald and like mangled. I'll go
Yeah.
back to be looking 20.
Those other guys wouldn't.
I think they're like, oh, I look
Uh,
so good, old guy. Like I'm wiser. I got
Qui-Gon
the wise look about me.
Qui-Gon died young, and then Obi-Wan, there's no way they would replace Alec Guinness in that scene
yeah.
with
Well,
Obi-Wan.
I don't know. I mean, they did have a whole series on Obi-Wan. You you love your Ewan McGregor.
I do
Who
love Ewan McGregor.
who hates Ewan McGregor? Give
The
me one.
Darth Vader and Obi-Wan fight scene in the Kenobi show, it's good. It's good.
Not not as good as the Obi-Wan Darth Vader fight scene with Chris Pratt as Obi-Wan.
Force turns your lightsaber on.
Whoa!
Isn't that an Xbox commercial?
I don't know what it's for. Do you know what I'm talking about, Hannah?
I've never seen it, but I Becca have talked about it a lot.
It's hilarious.
It's
He's
like
wearing
strike me down, I'll become more powerful. And he's like over there in his underwear because his clothes fall down. It's like
it's
woo,
pretty awesome.
woo.
Now we're getting off into those.
Strike me down.
We were talking about how to fight as a Jedi, and like, have you seen some of those other reels where they're doing it wrong? Like they should make their lightsaber disappear when the bad guy comes in so that they go,
Mm,
whoa, and then like stab him, like have it go pew,
yeah.
pew,
Yeah.
like
Okay. I've always been like, why wouldn't you just force use your lightsaber as like a boomerang?
yeah.
They do that in the Clone Wars. They don't do that after that.
I
Gotcha.
I
Shing.
just watched, I'm starting Ahsoka. I'm on episode like 2 or 3, and there's one scene where she fights a bad guy. I think he's like a nobody bad guy who was sent by the have you seen Ahsoka?
No.
Anyway, one of the bad guys sends this bad guy, and they have this fight scene, and then like she starts to win a little bit, and it's kind of like dusty or cloudy or something, and he runs away and jumps onto the ship. And when he's running away and she's running after him, he threw his lightsaber at
Did
her.
you turn around? Force turn off your lightsaber
And
and
then
just
like she runs after him. He jumps on the ship. The mist goes away and she sees them on the ship, and then she can tell that the lightsaber is, because the guy goes like this and the
Hmm.
saber is coming back, and she just goes like this and it just goes vroom. So
Hmm.
like you just said, I'm like, why didn't the guy going like this just go, I'm like, have it like turn a little bit, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's not the Jedi way.
I guess
Not the
not.
Jedi way.
She would have like had her lightsaber there.
Yeah.
So I'm told lots of the lightsabers battle stuff in the second and third movie were Hayden Christensen just having a blast.
Yeah.
Like his little back and forth thing that Anakin does was like just a thing that like he did. And they were like, that's
Yeah.
dope. Do that.
Probably. Yeah.
Yep. I believe
Well,
it. Very Hayden.
well, as long as they don't ruin my Star Wars anymore, I think.
Anymore.
Yeah.
Just well now we have to rewatch we have to watch the Clone Wars.
Yeah. How many seasons are those?
Like 7.
Oh,
7.
We only have to watch
it's a lot of
a
work.
handful.
Yeah.
We have never finished the show since the trailer trip, have we?
Since what?
The trailer trip?
You mean you and I?
Yeah, never.
You always give up.
What do you mean I always give up?
Been trying to watch
Rings of Power?
Rings of Power for
What are we, 3
like a
episodes
year.
in?
I've seen them. It's pretty good.
The problem is every opportunity I would have had to watch them by myself, you would have also been there, and we've still only seen 3 episodes.
All right, well, we got this
Now
summer.
your TV's all bashed in, so
Yep, and who? Hmm, who do you think did that?
Stay tuned next week to find out.
Cliffhanger.
all right. It's been a blast.
Thanks for having me on the pod.
Yeah,
Oh, Hannah, thanks for having me on the pod.
you're so welcome. Thanks for joining. Dad's favorite movie, second
Favorite
favorite
Star Wars
movie.
movie.
I hope that there'll be another topic that I can add a little something to in the future.
Yeah, we'll watch Casino Royale next.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's
You know
like
what
two.
Becca has never seen? Indiana Jones.
What?
What? Sophia's never
Oh,
seen.
Sophia.
There's a
Never
lot of
mind.
movies Sophia hasn't ever seen.
Never
Both of
mind.
us in sync were like, what?
Although I just found out yesterday, who did you tell me or Becca that Uncle Benny has not seen Princess
We
Bride?
both were
Yeah,
talking.
I told
Yeah.
you never
He's
seen
been
that.
saying that for like 10 years. And we're all
It's
like,
an
Maybe
you
he has
have
outrage.
to
to.
watch it.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, it's part of my character now. And we're
Well,
like,
because when we were in Disneyland with everybody, Matt and Melissa were leaving and they were like, have fun storming the castle. And I was like, yeah. And Benny was like, what are they talking about? And I was like, you haven't seen Princess Bride.
I remember there was one time we were at our West Point house and we were dyeing eggs and the whole extended fam was there and Benny was there and we were like, what do we watch? And someone was like, Princess Bride. And Benny was like, I never seen Princess Bride. And Autumn was like, we have to watch Princess Bride because you never seen it. We turned it on and he left.
That's kind of how any group movie goes with that family.
Yeah, at least it wasn't hockey.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
Yeah.
alrighty. Well, is
It's
there a
been
party
real.
line in Rogue One?
they're party line.
What do you
May
say?
the force
Oh,
be
it's
with you.
it's this, it's this. It's
Oh,
a hug. It's a hug.
There you go.
yeah.
It's may
Alrighty.
the force be with you. I am one with the force.
I
The
Let's
see you.
force
let's
is
see.
with me.
All
Okay.
right.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow.